Hello and welcome back to the another episode of the Daily Hindu News Analysis. As it is 2nd June today, so in this video we are going to discuss various articles which were in the today's Hindu newspaper and which could be very much relevant for your preparation. Before we'll start our discussion, I would like to address few things here which I believe will help you if you are preparing for UPSC exam 2026 or 2027. From yesterday we had started a program on our YouTube channel in which we every day upload 2 videos. In the morning session, which is this session, in this session we discuss the daily news, we discuss the articles which are relevant for your preparation. We try to discuss them in every dimension which can be relevant for you. After we discuss these articles, we also try to frame the possible prelims questions which can be asked from these questions, so that it will give the exact idea how a question can be asked in the exam. So this is what we do in the first session, in the morning session. The major purpose of this is, current affairs is the biggest part of your preparation of your syllabus, and we do want to cover it for you guys. So this is what we do in the morning session, and in the evening session we upload another video in which we discuss the static part. As we had promised you, if you would have seen our advertisements or posts on our YouTube channel, we had promised you that every day we will discuss a lecture here from from your syllabus. We had started with Indian polity, and today we are going to deliver our second lecture. If you had not seen that yet, so please do subscribe us, do follow us, and every day we are going to discuss these classes here. We are going to discuss your syllabus here. We had started with the Indian polity, and within 1 month we will try to complete the Indian polity syllabus. After that we will take other subjects, and our aim is to cover everything what is important for you, whether it would be prelims, whether it would be mains, except the optional subjects. So I advise you guys, if you want to be the part of if you want us to be the part of your journey to clear your prelims or mains exam, or UPSC in general, so please let us be the part of your journey. Let us subscribe us and do watch our videos, because they are very much informative. For these videos only you pay in thousands to the coaching institutes, but here we are providing them totally free. So please do subscribe us and do share it with your friends. So this is what I wanted to say here. Now, without any delay, let's have a look at the first article and see. Let's try to analyze it. What does it say? As you can see here, the heading, it says the center will allow import of electric vehicles at 15% to promote domestic manufacturing. If we look at this article, there are many ways to discuss it. We can directly discuss the points which were mentioned in the article and we are done. But is it enough for you being the UPSC aspirants? No, it is not enough. So let's try to analyze it. Let us see why we are going for the electric vehicles. What is the first? Let's ask us a question. Let's ask yourselves a question. Why the countries are moving forward? Why countries are moving towards the electric vehicles? What is the reason for that? Is it the only way by which you can reduce the emissions, or there can be any other alternate ways? To answer this question, we have to analyze first as we ask this question to ourselves. Now let's try to answer it. The major reason why countries are moving for the electric vehicles, the major reason which we can understand, which we can see, is that we want to reduce the emissions, because the global warming is the major threat. Global warming is the major threat, and we want to secure the future. We want to reduce these emissions. We want to reduce the carbon emissions. We want to reduce the carbon footprint, so that the world can be much friendly for everybody. This planet could be much friendly for everybody. But the question here comes, is this the only answer? Is electric vehicles the answer? Is it the real answer? Do we really reduce the emissions by the electric vehicles? This discussion which we are doing right now, it is not in the news article. The news article is much related to the business. It is much related to the India's Make in India program. But here you being the UPSC aspirants, you need to know, you are supposed to know these things. You are supposed to ask yourselves these questions. That's why we are discussing it. Is the electric vehicles, now the question is this the only solution that we should go for the electric vehicles? You know, if you would have done any research in this science and technology related to vehicles, related to emissions, or if you had been the engineers, maybe automobile engineers, or any chemical engineers, or we can say fuel engineers related to petroleum, so you might be very much aware of that. You know, there can be different ways. For example, if we will ask an automobile engineer, we want to design a vehicle which will have least emissions. He will propose many ideas. First, what he will say, why don't we go for the alternate fuels? Alternate fuels. We can go for the alternate fuels, like why won't we replace diesel with biofuels? That's what we are doing. Ethanol. You know, we are mixing ethanol right now. The second thing he may ask, maybe go for other fuels like vegetable oils. Why don't we reduce the octane number of the vegetable oils, and we can bring those vegetable oils which are used earlier, we can bring those in line with the diesel and petroleum. That can be the solution, but it is not that efficient. You know, this idea had been there, but it has, from years, people, scientists, researchers are working on it, but the efficiency has not been achieved yet. The efficiency we want. Why don't we go for the biogas? That is the solution, but the efficiency is the real question. And another question, are they as efficient as electric vehicles? If we look at the tailpipe emissions by the electric vehicles, are they as efficient as that? No, they are not as efficient as that. So this can be the solution, but efficiency with respect to the emission, reduction of emission, that is not there. Then the second question, what can be the other alternative? You know, these ideas, what we are discussing here, they are very much relevant for your preparation. If you are writing the mains exam and there is a question about the alternatives to the diesel fuel engines or all that stuff, alternatives to the diesel and petroleum, you can write these. But or there can be a question in the mains exam, what can be the methods by which we can reduce the emissions? So such questions can be asked in the exam, because you need to be prepared in every dimension. So the second question which can be, second idea which we can discuss is, what else can we use? The second idea which an automobile engineer will answer you, that why not we shift the use of materials? Why not we shift the use of materials? For example, right now, mostly in the vehicle, whether for the design of chassis, for the design of chassis or other components of the vehicle, mostly it is made of steel or aluminum. The alternative to it is, why not we shift from steel and aluminum? Why not we shift to what? Why not we shift to what? To composite materials. Why not we shift to composite materials like hybrid vehicles, carbon fibers, or other fibers? Why not we use those materials instead of the steel and iron? You know, what would be the solution? How it can be the better alternative? You know, first it will reduce the weight of the vehicle, and at the same time, what it will do, once the weight of the vehicle is reduced, there would be less emissions, so less carbon footprint. So this can also be the solution. From changing the material, what we use now, changing it to the alternate materials like composite materials, carbon fibers, and all that stuff. So this can also be the solution, but still there are issues. You know, it cannot be 100% reliant. It cannot reduce the emissions to the 100%. So the third answer is, why not go for the hybrid vehicles or the electric vehicles? Why not go for it? So with respect to the electric vehicles, now we'll jump to our discussion. What was in the article? Why not we go to the electric vehicles? You know, manufacturing of electric vehicles is not the cup of a tea. It is not an easy walk. Walk in a park. You know, you need huge investments in it. You need manufacturers to invest in India. You know, we don't have the technologies by which we can right now. We don't have enough technologies. We don't have enough resources in a, the resources, the materials which are required to develop the lead acid batteries or other batteries, we don't have those things right now in our country. So for that, what we need the investments. We need a huge investment from the we need investments from the foreign investors, like from the foreign manufacturers. If they are going to invest in India, if they will invest in India, then only our domestic, we can increase our domestic manufacturing. So with this regard, if you will look at the earlier policies of our government, there used to be huge input tariffs on these. It was earlier thought that if we will increase the input tariffs on these foreign manufacturers, what it will do, it will block them in a way in entering the Indian market. And once they will be blocked in entering the Indian market, it would eventually lead way for the domestic producers, domestic manufacturers. But if we look at what had really happened, it has backfired on the domestic manufacturing. It has backfired on the domestic manufacturing because we don't have that much infrastructure here by which we can develop these vehicles. So now what the government is doing, they had notified the guidelines to promote domestic manufacturing of electric vehicles, in which they had significantly lowered the import duty for foreign manufacturers. They had lowered it from 70 to 100%. From 70 to 100% to 15% only. The input duty has been lowered to 15% only. So reason for that, if once they had lowered it, what they will do now, once they had lowered this rate, duty rate of 15% compared with the current, which is 70 to 100%. The reason for that is it will boost the domestic manufacturing in India. And one thing which they have to keep in the mind, that they have to invest almost 4,150 crore in local electric vehicle manufacturing. Also, they will be required to begin operations within 3 years of receiving approval, and must meet specific local local content requirements. So this is how the government has changed its earlier policy to the newer one, where they want the international markets to invest in India, and by which they can boost the domestic manufacturing in India. So with this, there was a question asked to the minister, to the Union Heavy Industries and Steel Minister, and he said that Tesla, a question about Tesla was asked, and he said that the Tesla, which is the manufacturing giant, EV manufacturing giant in the world, they are not interested in investing in India in the manufacturing part, but they want to open their stores in India. So this much discussion, they had reduced it. The reason for this reduction of the import duty is so that it will boost the manufacturing in India. And there is one important criteria for them why they would be reduced, that they have to spend almost 4,150 crore in local EV manufacturing, then only it will be available, this scheme would be available to them. So this much, I guess, is very much important for you. This is enough for you to have the proper understanding of this topic. Why we are shifting to electric vehicles, what was the criteria, how the input duties were very much huge in our country. They were around 70 to 100%, in a way to block the entrance of these manufacturing giants into India, so that they won't violate the market in India. But it has backfired. Our domestic industry is not that mature enough. It has not come out of age right now, so that they can manufacture the electric vehicles in that speed. So right now we need the investments, we need the investments from these huge giants, which they have to invest in India, and the condition for that is their tariffs had been reduced. So this much is, I guess, enough for you. Now let's see what question can be asked with respect to this topic in your prelims exam. Here the question is, which of the following statements accurately describe the environmental impact of electric vehicles? So first statement, EVs produce zero tailpipe line emission, leading to improved urban air quality. Usually, as you would have followed me, usually whenever such statements are, I always tell my students that be careful of the extreme statements. Be careful of the extreme statements. But here, zero tail pipeline emission with respect to EVs, it is 100% correct. So first statement becomes correct. Usually, often in the UPSC, they have the habit of using these extreme extreme statements, extreme points, so that in a way they give hint to the aspirant that this statement may be incorrect. But sometimes they may deceive you, because you need to have the proper understanding too about electric vehicles. They definitely produce zero tail pipeline emissions. So first statement is true. Second statement, it says the manufacturing process of electric vehicle batteries is environmentally benign due to the use of readily available material. Benign, by it we mean harmless, is environmentally harmless. Is it so? It is totally incorrect, because electric vehicle batteries are considered the major pollutants of the electric vehicle. So second statement is incorrect. Now coming to this third statement, it says the overall carbon footprint of electric vehicles is solely dependent on the source of electricity used for charging. 100% correct. That's also true. The carbon footprint emitted by the electric vehicles is majorly dependent on the sources of electricity used for charging, whether this electricity which the electric vehicles use for charging is coming from the thermal hydropower plants or some other or nuclear power plants. It will define the carbon footprint due to electric vehicles. So third statement is also correct. Now coming to the fourth statement, it says cycling and disposal of electric vehicle batteries pose no significant environmental challenge. This is also incorrect. It does promote the challenge. So with respect to this question, the correct statements are statement 1 and statement 3 only. And from the code given below, the correct code would be option B. So with this, I hope you had understood the topic as well as the question here. Now let's move to the another slide and see what topic we had brought today. Well, now the another article which is talking about India Paraguay as they can strengthen trade ties. Well, why it was in the news? Because there was huge discussion about it in the news article. The Paraguay president, who is named as the Santiago Pena Palacios, he was in the India. He was in here. He visited India, and he is visiting India for the first time. In this, as we know that the Paraguay, it is one of the founding member of the Mercosur trade bloc in Latin America, and we have the trade ties with the Mercosur. So it can be very much important for India's future business with the South America. Also, this president, he visited India at this time when, there were, the article also mentions that he visited right now, as there is a havoc created by the Donald Trump. His policies, they had created the havoc in the society, in the world right now. In this time period, he has visited India, and it can be very much significant for India itself. So he visited India. In this, he mentioned that how we can expand the regional commerce in Latin America. The PM Narendra Modi, in this visit, he welcomed him. He mentioned that how we can expand the regional commerce in Latin America. He also how we can, as the Paraguay being the member of the Mercosur trade bloc in Latin America, it can further expand our relationship with this trade bloc. And further, the president, he described India as a key strategic partner of his country. He further discussed that there are various opportunities for cooperation between India and the Paraguay, like especially in digital technology, in critical minerals, energy, in agriculture, healthcare, defense, railways, and other areas. So with respect to India and Paraguay relationship, it is not very, we may believe that, as we had not heard this relation is not often in the news, but our relationship goes way back to 4 to 5 decades. It was in 1961. The India-Paraguay relationship dates back to 1961. We had bilateral diplomatic ties were established in 1961, and India's embassy in Paraguay, Paraguay's capital was introduced, or we can say was established in the year August 2002. Our embassy in the Paraguay capital was established in August 2002. The Paraguayan capital Asuncion in August 2002. And also the Mercosur trade bloc, we need to know about that too. What is this Mercosur trade bloc? What are the countries in it? So we should know that it is the countries which are part of it are Brazil, with which we have great relationship. We have Paraguay in it, whose president visited India right now. We have Argentina in it, and we have Uruguay in it. So these are the countries which are part of the Mercosur trade bloc, with which we have the preferential trade agreement, for particular subjects or for particular goods. We have this preferential trade agreement, and there, if the relationship improves between the two countries or between the two blocs, we can think of the free trade agreement with them too. So this is how it is important for us, the visit from the Paraguayan president to India. This is how it can be significant for our relationship in the Latin America. As right now, if we look at our neighbors, that our relationship with our neighbors is we are going through a serious turmoil right now. So India has to look beyond our neighbors. We have to look beyond. We have to look into Africa. We have to look into this South America, Latin America, and we have to develop our hubs there. We know that how crucial Latin America can be for the critical minerals, and this is right now the need of the critical minerals. So it is one of the best visits, and we can take huge from this visit. So I guess this much is important for us to understand it. Please do know, a question about Paraguay can come in the exam, maybe asking about what are the countries which are bordering Paraguay. And also the question about Mercosur can come. What is this trade bloc about? What are the countries which are part of it? It is Brazil, Paraguay, Argentina, and Uruguay. These are the countries which are part of it. So with this, let us see what question we can frame from this particular article with respect to the prelims exam. So let us see on the next slide. Here the question says, with reference to the Southern Common Market Mercosur, which we had discussed, which was in the news because Paraguayan president was in India, consider the following statements. First statement, it was established with the primary objective of creating a common market among its member states, promoting the free movement of goods, services, capital, and people. 100% correct. Second statement, all its current full members are South American countries. 100% correct. What are those countries? We have discussed them. They are the Argentina, Brazil, it is Paraguay, and Uruguay. These are the 4 countries which are part of it. Third statement, the European Union Mercosur trade agreement, though negotiated for over 2 decades, has faced significant environmental and social concerns. 100% correct. This is one of the gray area. Whenever any developing countries are going for the trade relationship or any free trade agreement with the developed countries, or especially European Union or other European countries, one of the major concern is of the environmental and social concern. For phytosanitary concerns are there, patent concerns are there with respect to India, sanitary concerns are there. This is one of the major issue, and that is one of the bottleneck to it, one of the hindrance to these agreements. It is always found there. So third statement is also correct. Fourth statement, India has a free trade agreement with Mercosur which covers a wide range of goods and services. Totally incorrect. We have preferential trade agreement, not free trade agreement. For certain kind of goods we have this trade agreement. So fourth statement is incorrect. So coming to the question, the correct statements are statement 1, statement 2, and statement 3 only. So with this, I hope we had understood the article as well as the context, as well as the question of which could be asked through this article. Now let's move to the third slide and see another slide and see what article we had brought there. Well, it is about the transgender couple to be named as parent in child birth records, says High Court of Kerala. You know, and this is also one of the interesting topics which can be very much important for your social issues. So, what is the story about this? You know, there was a couple in Karnataka, a transgender couple, namely Zahad and Zia, who were from the Konde, who belonged to Konde. You know, they had a child, and they went to the corporation. They went to the corporation to mention. They went to the corporation to get, so that the certificate, the birth certificate of the child, there should be the mention of the parents rather than on the birth certificate. There should be the mention of the parents rather than the father and mother, but what did the corporation do? They did not listen to them. They, instead of mentioning the parents there, they mentioned the names of father and mother. Father was given to one partner, and mother was given to another partner, which is not important to you. But what is important will the High Court decision about it is important for you. So they went to High Court and they challenged this decision of the corporation. They went to the High Court and they requested the High Court that they should not be given any specific gender, because they identify themselves. One was a female in it. She identifies herself as a male, who is the biological mother of the child. She identifies herself as a male. So they went to the High Court that instead of giving them this, instead of mentioning the name of the father and the mother on the birth certificate, there should be there should be a common word used, which is parents, which is gender neutral. Parents in general is gender neutral. It should be used there instead of father and the mother. So what did the High Court of Kerala did? They listened to them and they gave their verdict in their favor. So this makes it very much interesting. A question here can be asked to you: Is the gay or same-sex marriage legal in India? Is it legal in India? So this is very tricky question. Even though if you look at this scenario, it may seem that if the court is granting them the parenthood, then it should be legal. But is it really so? There is a gray area in it. For example, if there are same-sex couple, both belonging either female or male, then their marriage is not allowed. Their marriage is not legal in India. But if they identify as male and female but are of opposite sex, they are transgenders but are of opposite sex, then their marriage is allowed in India. So please do remember this point, and do remember what had happened. Do know what had happened in the Kerala with respect to this. It can be very much important for you for your questions related to social issues. In mains exam, it can help your case in writing the mains answer. Now with this, let us see what question can be asked from this topic. What question UPSC can create for your prelims exam. Let's have a look at that. Well, here the question says, with reference to the legal status of marriage for LGBTQIA plus individuals in India, consider the following statement. First statement: the Supreme Court of India in its October 2023 judgment explicitly legalized same-sex marriage, reading into the Special Marriage Act 1985 totally incorrect. It is not legal. Second, transgender persons in India have the right to marry provided the marriage is between a transgender person and an individual of the opposite gender for their self-identified gender. 100% correct. This is totally correct. Third statement: the Nalsa vs. Union of India judgment recognized transgender person as a third gender and affirmed their fundamental rights, which implicitly includes the right to marry. That's also correct. Fourth statement: currently there is no legal provision for civil unions or any form of partnership, especially for same-sex couples in India, that confers all the rights and benefits of marriage. 100% correct. So with respect to this question, the correct statements are statement 2, statement 3 and statement 4, and from the code given below, the correct code would be option C. So with this, let's move to the another slide and see what article we had brought there, and let's try to discuss that. Well, here the article is about the misinformation, a bigger threat than COVID-19. It was in the editorial session, in the editorial page. If you look at this article, it may seem very much big, but if you read it, there is nothing much new in this article. We know that about the COVID-19 as the cases are rising right now. Few important facts were mentioned in this article. For example, what is the name of the variant which is revolving right now? Which is circulating right now. It is a JN1, and it is a descendant of Omicron variant. Descendant of Omicron variant, which is B1, BA 1.529. So this is this JN1 with the COVID-19 flu, which is revolving, which is circulating right now. It is the descendant of BA 1.529. So what is the discussion in the editorial here? The discussion is basically, it is talking about right now, as we are seeing the cases are rising, we are taking it really seriously, but according to this article, according to this author, in nutshell, we should not take it that seriously. He compares the cases with other diseases, and he gives us the idea how the deaths because of other diseases are more in number than we are seeing because of the COVID-19. And also he says that as these variants are sub-variants of the earlier strands of the virus, so we had developed this inherent immunity against these viruses. So and he further says there is no need of the further vaccination. So he in a way negates the misinformation spread right now with respect to lockdowns and all that, how dangerous it could be. He in a way negates that. It is not that is according to him, the COVID-19 is not that big right now, but the misinformation related to it is much higher. So he wants to educate the people about the COVID-19, the present variant of COVID-19, how we had developed in our country where the immunity, the inherent immunity against it. We can get infected. According to him, the COVID-19 is omnivorous in our country. It is always there. It has not gone away from it, but we are carrying the symptoms, we are carrying the virus. We may be asymptomatic, and it is not going to impact our health that much, even though it may cause deaths. But if we compare it with the deaths caused by various other diseases, then the number is very low. But here in this article, he had mentioned a very important term in a way, I can say, which is the variant of concern. So here, the variant of concern, there are two terms, variant of concern and variant of interest. Let's try to understand what this variant of concern and variant of interest is through the question which we had brought from this article, which we had created from this article on the next slide. Let us see that. Well, here the question says, with reference to the classification of viral variants as variant of interest and variant of concern by public health organizations, consider the following statement. First statement, a variant of interest is characterized by a genetic change that are predicted or known to affect a virus characteristically, like transmissibility, disease severity, or immune escape, and has been identified to cause significant community transmission or multiple outbreaks. 100% correct. The variant of interest, it is characterized by the genetic changes that are predicted or known to affect virus characteristics like transmissibility. It can increase its transmissibility. Disease severity can be, it can increase the disease severity or immune escape, and has been identified to cause significant community transmissions or multiple outbreaks. Then what is variant of concern? The variant of concern is a variant of interest for which there is strong evidence that it causes a significant change in epidemiology, pathogenicity, or immune escape, posing an increased risk to global public health. After any virus, it achieves the characteristics of variant of interest. After that, when it severes, after that it goes in the domain of variant of concern. So earlier it would be variant of interest, then it will become the variant of concern. Third statement, all variant of concerns originate as a variant of interests before being reclassified based on the accumulating evidence of their adverse impact. That's also true. Fourth statement, the primary difference between variant of interest and variant of concern lies in the degree of evidence and demonstrated public health impact, with VOCs having more prone and significant detrimental effect. 100% correct. So with respect to this question, all the four statements are correct. So please know the basic difference. Variant of interest, it is the initial change, and variant of concern is the severability of that virus. So this is in the simplest terms we can understand it. Now with this, let's move to the another slide and see what article we had brought there. Well, here the article is about the NGT, National Green Tribunal, asks firms to give details of cargo in sunken vessels. You know, there is a shipping company named, they named Mediterranean Shipping Company, which was who owned the Liberia, who owned the Liberia flagged containers. This shipping company named the Mediterranean Shipping Company, it had owned the Liberia flagged containers, and unfortunately that sank off the Kochi coast on May 25. And it is expected to clarify on the contents of the hazardous cargo in 13 of the 640. So now when this incident happened, when this ship sank, and these containers sank, the National Green Tribunal, it took the sumoto, it took the case by itself, and it notified the company that they should clarify about the what did the containers contain, what were the hazardous materials in those containers. Why they are doing this? Because if it is not notified to them, what it will lead to, it will definitely impact the environment. It will impact the coastal as well as the marine environment if those containers contain the hazardous materials. And it is believed that those containers contain carbide, calcium carbide, and oil and other undisclosed items. Calcium carbide and oil was contained in those containers, and it can impact the coastal as well as marine biodiversity. So, and also we know that in oceans there is a continuous movement of water through the currents or wind, so definitely it is going to separate to other coasts also, and it may be very much hazardous for the marine environment as well as the coastal environment. So according to the National Green Tribunal, this incident has violated the provisions of the Biodiversity Act 2002, the Water Prevention and Control Act of Pollution, Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act of 1974, and the Environment Protection Act of 1986. So what they are doing, they are asking them to identify what were in the materials. So this much is important, but here how we can expect a question from this article, we need to know what this National Green Tribunal is, and that we can go through the question from the next slide. Here the question says, with reference to the National Green Tribunal, consider the following statement. First statement, it was established under the National Green Tribunal Act 2010 for effective and expeditious disposal of cases related to environment protection and conservation of forests and other natural resources. 100% correct. Second statement, it has jurisdiction over all civil cases where a substantial question related to the environment, including the enforcement of any legal right related to the environment, is involved. 100% correct. Third, the NGT is bound by the procedure laid down under the Code of Civil Procedure 1908. This is incorrect. It is bound by the procedure of natural justice. So third statement is incorrect. Fourth statement, it is mandated to apply the principles of sustainable development, the precautionary principles, and the polluter pays principle. 100% correct. It is mandated to apply these principles. 100% correct. So with respect to this question, the correct statements are statement 1, statement 2, and statement 4. And from the code given below, the correct code would be option B. With this, let's move to the another slide and see what article we had brought there. Well, again, the Pahalgam terror attack, which happened unfortunately in the month of April, when we saw that how 27, I guess, innocents were brutally killed in the Kashmir Valley by the goons by the terrorists there. And we saw that how we regrouped, how we as a country showed the unity, and we challenged the terrorist hubs in the region of Pakistan. We launched the Operation Sindoor, and how we successfully targeted the areas which are hub for the terrorists or militants in the Pakistani region. So with this, we know the history, we were the live witnesses of this incident, what had happened. It is not something we had read from the books, we witnessed it. So what now the real question is the impact, the terrorist impact. It does not only impact those who belong to that particular region, who died in that particular region, but it has a vast impact. The attack in the Pahalgam, it has caused a chaos in the region. It has caused this fear in the region, and it is being seen. It is this chaos is being seen in what, in the Kheer Bhavani festival. In the Kheer Bhavani festival turnout. So what is the news? Because of the Pahalgam attack, there were, prior to Pahalgam attack, if it would had not been happened, what would had, how it would had projected. For example, the Kheer Bhavani festival is there. And this Kheer Bhavani festival, it attracted many tourists in the Kashmir. It attracted those pandits who are living outside. It would attract those pandits who are living outside India, and for this festival, because it is very much religiously important for them. But unfortunately, because of this attack, now the tourists coming into Kashmir has reduced. The pilgrims for this particular fest has reduced. It is showing, this attack is showing the fear which we have in our hearts. So in the response of this, many political leaders from the Kashmir, they had urged the Kashmiri pandits to visit their places, to visit this festival. They had provided the strong security. They are promising for the strong security. They had highlighted the harmony between the Indian and Muslims. Once when the Kashmiri pandits, Hindus and Muslims, when the Kashmiri pandits, they left to Kashmir, when they left to Kashmir, and that time, who were the people who protected these temples in Kashmir? They were the Kashmiri Muslims who protected these Kashmiri temples. So now the people are urging these pandits to come them. They will provide the security to them. They will not let anything happen to them. So right now the news is that the Pahalgam terror attack, it has shown it is how fearful it is for the people of Kashmir, how fearful it is for the tourists. So the turnout for it has reduced. About the Kheer Bhavani festival, we had discussed it in our last class. Also, it it is an annual festival of Zesta astronomy at the Kheer Bhavani temple in Kashmir. It is organized at various places, for example at Tulmula in Gadarban, Tikar in Kopwara, Devsar and Manzam in Kulgam, and Lagripora in Anantnag. So these are the places where it is being celebrated. So we are requesting, the people in Kashmir are requesting them to please visit it. So with this, I hope you had got the basic understanding of the article. And about Kheer Bhavani temple, we already had solved a prelims question yesterday. So there is no need to bring another question, because it is not that vast topic on which we can form many questions. Now let's move to the last slide and see what article we had brought here. Well, this article, it was in the science section of today's Hindu News article, and it basically discussed a research which was done in the various colleges or universities in USA. And what was the research? It was about the phytoplanktons. It actually talked about the iron wastes which are coming from the industries into the oceans. What it is leading to the increased number of phytoplanktons as they are consuming it. Because of this, they are consuming other minerals in the oceans, and what it finally leads to the depletion of nutrients in the oceans, and it is going to eventually harm the marine ecosystem there. So here in nutshell, if we will try to conclude the article, that the iron wastes which are coming from the industries are depleting the nutrients in the oceans and seas. So this is what it is all about, because the phytoplanktons are growing on them and they are using the nutrients, and eventually the nutritional value levels in those particular regions are decreasing. So with this we complete our today's discussion. I hope you would have liked the video. I hope you would share it with your friends, and please do subscribe the channel, and please do stay for the next session also in the evening, because in that we are going to deliver the second lecture from the Indian polity, which can be very much relevant for your preparation. Thanks for staying with me. Thank you very much and have a nice day.